I'm excited. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing well. I'm actually at a studio right now. Just stepped out of another interview where I'm just started this new film, this new project called Southern Gospel. So
Ooh.
yeah, just
Is
working.
it going to be in the theaters, TV?
Hopefully, they'll be in the theater, but it may possibly be on some type of streaming service or Netflix or one of those things. Let me see if I can elevate my phone here just for a second.
Go ahead, get it right. Go ahead, get it right. I like the background too. This mustard wall.
Yeah, this little studio I'm in. It's really nice. At my Triple Horse Studios.
Okay.
And, trying to make that happen. There we go. Is that better?
Okay. See, now I'm just being nosy. Now I want to know. So, what kind of role you playing in this movie?
Yeah, we can talk about it. I'm playing a gentleman named Barry. It's based off of a true story. Samuel Allen, this musician who was a rock star turned pastor. So Jeffrey Smith, based off of some of his life experience and his father. And I play this amazing character named Barry, who is his best friend and a bass guitar player, and kind of goes on this journey with him, and has his trials and tribulations throughout life. And so, without spoiling it too much, it's about second chances and truth sets you free. And it's a faith-based movie, which I'm proud to be a part of. It's one of my first faith-based movies. We're having here in Georgia for the next few months, next 2 months. And I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's dope. Check you out on set. That's what I'm talking about. Booked and busy. Well, I'm really excited for this interview. And when I announced that I was going to be interviewing you, I got so many people that were so excited just to hear from you. When I say the soundtrack to P Valley, they know all your songs and all your lyrics. People are really excited, and I'm excited too. And I was wondering, have you always been in, because you've done a whole bunch of different things in the creative space, and of course we're going to get to that, but have you always been into the creative field, the artistic field?
Oh, for sure. I've been acting going on 11 years now, and I've been a musician my entire life, since I was 3-4 years old, playing the drums. My mother, she would write plays for church. And this is prior to me thinking, knowing I was going to be an actor, but I'll be in her little plays at church and stuff like that. And so it's one of those things where I've kind of always been in the space. But once I turned 18, 19, my first year in college, that's when I started taking it really seriously and realized, it was just a calling that I had and a blessing God had placed in my life to be able to go out here and humanize these people and tell stories and bring stories to the screen.
Wow, and we got a shout out to NCCU. We got a bunch of people saying shout out.
Yeah, shout out to NCCU. I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't finish at Central. Okay. But I had a great time while I was there. And shout out to, all of my professors and those, the people who really gave me my foundation, and particularly Miss Karen Brock Davis, this amazing Black woman who just really instilled that vulnerability and that light in me to say, hey, you have the ability to go out here and tell these stories and, just continue to be honest when you do and breathe and believe, as one of my good friend Miriam Hyman said. So, yeah.
And I feel like those people too are just so important, to have in your journey, because of course, anything you do, sometimes it could just wear and tear. It's not easy. So it's easy to be just like, no, this is probably not for me. But you need those people reassuring you and really pushing you outside of what you think you can do.
Yeah, no, for sure. So
tell me a little bit about how that journey was for you, from going okay, I like doing this, I enjoy doing acting and things like that, to I want to take this serious. What was that transition? What was that moment like for you?
I would say that my first year in college, when I turned 18, I knew I got to figure out what I want to do, whether that's going to be a band director, where I'm majoring in music, something. But I wanted to have a career, and I knew that a typical 9-to-5 wasn't quite for me. I shout out to all my 9-to-5ers. I think it's imperative that we have people who are willing to kind of spend that time throughout the day to make things happen. But for me, I knew I wanted to do something that I love doing and that I could kind of make my own timing and kind of create it when I wanted to. So it clicked early. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to tell stories and be able to create stories that people are going to follow and be able to resonate with for a long time. And so while I was in school, I also needed to make money. And so I found out, that's when I started to learn, like, oh man, you can make a pretty good living being an artist. You know, I think a lot of people think struggling actor and stuff like that. I've never really wanted to think about it like that, just because you got to pay your rent, regardless, whether you're an actor,
do that.
whether you're a journalist, whether, you know, you got to make it, you got to pay your rent. So you got to get to the money regardless. So that's one of the things that I never really, I didn't want it to be about the money, but I also knew that I had a chance to make a really good living as a storyteller. And so in Durham, North Carolina, I started auditioning at all like the community theaters where you only getting paid like $500 a month, you know, to come through. But I can't tell you how many of those plays that I did. And I just knew, I said, okay, if I keep pushing this, it'll allow me to get into some larger rooms. So I started taking it serious around that time. And then once I decided to move to New York, because in North Carolina, there's only a certain, I feel like, pinnacle you can reach.
Right.
And so I moved to New York about 7 years ago and just been kind of steady grinding ever since then. And things happen.
And I feel like, New York is because I was born and raised in New York, and New York, that's a whole different kind of grind, a whole different kind of hustle.
Oh, yeah.
When you got there, was it kind of like, oh, dang, like, how was it going from, you know, being in North Carolina to going to New York and really pursuing your dreams?
I realized, you know, as soon as I moved to Brooklyn, I said, oh, man, I grew up in a small town. Like, Greensboro, North Carolina. Shout out to Greensboro. Shout out to North Carolina. But, man, it's a small town, like, it compared to the larger cities and states that I've lived in at this point. And so, yeah, like you said, it's a grind, man. It's a hustle. I had to really strap my big boy shoes, boots on, and say, okay, now you gotta walk to the train. You gotta, you know, hop on the transit to get where you gotta go if you're not driving there. And even if you are driving, you gotta be a monster at that too. So
what? The driving
there's a lot of things that you know, I just had to click into differently. But New York is where I say I gained my manhood. You know, moving there from the time I was 23 to now, it really tightened me up in so many different ways and just keeps that fire underneath me. So now, no matter what city I go to, I still kind of got that New York state of mind, that hustle, let's get the job done mentality. And, you know, it allows me to move differently in different spaces.
Listen, they say if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. So
you
made it. Now, I do want to ask though, because I know sometimes when it comes to like being in the creative field, I talked about how important it was to have those people who support you and what you want to do. But, you know, like I said, when it comes to the creative field, sometimes there could be people, whether that be family or friends, that'll tell you, they'll place their doubts on you or make it seem like you can't make it as, you know, an actor. Like, come on, what's the plan B? Where's your suit and tie? You got to get to this job.
Right.
What was that ever something that occurred for you? And if it was, how did you get that doubt off of you and just keep going and do what you had to do?
I would say, you know, my family has supported me 100% from the beginning, no matter what it is that I wanted to do. I never had really any doubts placed on me from my family. Obviously, there's, you know, people and colleagues, or I would say maybe some professors that I had that would try to tell you, oh, it's really hard. It's really hard. You know, kind of put fear in you. But it was one of those things I just knew I what I wanted. And I just have this theory. You know, I read this book, but even prior to reading this book, there's this book by Malcolm Gladwell called The Story of Success. And he created that theory of 10,000 hours, right? So I just knew prior to even knowing that if I put in those 10,000 hours that I was going to gain some success. But just knowing that all you need is one yes, you know, that leads to other doors. And that can be a big yes, that can be a little less. And once you accumulate those yeses, it ends up adding up and you're able to take care of your family, you know. But you got to be ready for the no's and understand that you're going to have way more no's than you do yeses, and, you know, just push through. But yeah, no one ever doubted me in a sense. My closest friends always supported me. My biggest supporter at this point in my life is my beautiful fiance, Nafisha. So shout out to Nafisha, because she upholds me in a different way.
Yeah.
And I feel like having that support of a strong Black woman in my life is one of those things that's gotten me to where I am right now. Shout out to my mother and my sister, two other incredibly strong Black women who have really just uplifted me. And you know, no matter what anybody says, you hear their voices in your head saying, "Look, you got it, baby," or you know, going out there and kill it, do your thing. And so that's what keeps me. And then my son and my stepdaughter, you know, they just motivate me to continuously just push through and make sure I have this theory, right? That I tell them I got to bring the buffalo home. You know, you got to see me coming home with the buffalo head on my shoulders, you know, with the blood dripping off my back. You heard? So that's one of the things that that kind of really motivates me, is to take care of the fam. And yeah, nothing that anyone says will deter me away from following the dream.
That's a blessing. You really gotta, you know, have that strong, solid support system. So, you know, of course we gotta talk about P Valley.
Let's do it.
I'm so excited to talk about this. First, how did you even come into this role? How did it come to you? Like, what was the process of you getting this role?
Great question. So I was doing a play in New York by Dominique Morisseau called Paradise Blue. Shout out to Dominique. Shout out to Signature Theater. And I was playing this character named Blue. And Katori Hall, the creator and showrunner of P Valley, came to opening night of that show. And after the show, she just came up to me and gave me some of the kindest compliments I've had in my career. And she told me, she said, "Listen, we're going to work together one day." And this was much prior to P Valley. She hit my line maybe 6 months later, maybe even a year later, and said, "I got a role for you that I want you to audition for." And it was Lil Murda. So she sent over the script. And of course, with all the boundaries that were going to be crossed, I had to think about it and really talk to my fiance about it. And, you know, being a heterosexual man, really understand what my purpose was for this role, and that it was much larger than me. It was much larger than the money that I was making for it. It was much larger than any of that. It was really to reflect and to show the voice and see the unseen, you know. And so us as a Black community can see this man, Lil Murda, Lamar, aka Lamarcus, whatever you want to call him, and understand that he's a real human being within our community, and he should be respected and loved just like anyone else. And so that's where I came at it from. And so when I went through the audition process, that's what led me. That's what pulled me. I said, man, I got to tell this story for my homies who I know live this life every day and can't be respected and receive the love that they need because of a stigma within our own community that's trash. You know what I'm saying?
For real.
It's trash, yo. If you can't respect somebody for who they love, and it has so less to do with what people got going on in their bedroom. That's different. It's really about just who people are connected to and who they're able to resonate with, and that's just human beings. So that was my main focus when I played Lil Murda, and the role came to me, and we considered all those things, and then when it came time to shoot, you know, we killed it.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask too, like how important are, you know, having those conversations with your family, with your fiance, when you're taking on roles, particularly one like Lil Murda, who's a very layered character. How important is it to have those conversations with them?
It's extremely important, you know, and that's in any character that I'm getting ready to that I get an offer on or I'm auditioning for. We have a conversation around it just to make sure that not only am I representing myself to the highest that I can, the best I can, but representing my family too. And so, and you know, for me, I just enjoy playing complex characters, you know, and bringing humanity to these characters. It's a challenge as an actor. And so, but yeah, I discuss any and everything with my fiance. So especially when it comes down to the business, you know, she's very much my partner in this business, and we like to discuss everything before we make decisions.
Yeah, and I think that's a responsible thing to do too, because you know, it not only is it affecting you, it's affecting her, and you know, you're as a family, so you got to do that. So how do you handle, because we know people can be nasty and people can be negative. How do you handle like criticism or things that may come your way for some people who are questioning your sexuality based on this character that you're playing?
You know, I choose to, great question. I choose to indulge in the love. You know, I really, so many people ask me, have I seen this or seen that? I really try to just not even get into the hate, you know, and I understand people who may not be able to see it clearly. I think a lot of people's perspectives are clouded just because of the climate that we grew up in. And so it takes time to clear that away. And so I ain't mad at whatever you got to say, however you feel, just know that it's not the truth. And that at some point you have to find the truth within yourself to understand who Lil Murda is. But as far as my sexuality, I'm very secure in who I am. And, you know, I respect who people love and how they move in that way. And so I kind of just, I sit in that, man. I don't really, anybody that has something negative to say, I kind of just, it's okay. You know, it's the ignorance that you just got to work on, but it's not getting underneath my skin. You know, I sleep very well at night, and it's one of those things where I'm just hoping that it has an impact and that people can see that if, you know, J Alphonse Nicholson, this heterosexual man, can come and play this role and live in the truth of this character, you know, hopefully we'll allow other people to do that in real life. And what I will say is that having a little taste of the hate that comes through the homophobia in our community, I feel very, very bad, and I feel it's very unfortunate what my sisters and brothers have to go through on a daily basis in real life. You know what I'm saying? Fuck what I'm going through in the show. Imagine people who got to go through this every day. Their parents not wanting to be around them, or these, unfortunately, you know, my sisters in the community that love having gay friends and gay male friends, but don't want to accept their lifestyle. You know, it's one of those things where I was shocked, actually, homophobia within our community, especially around Black women. But like I said, I knew it was a larger purpose that I was fulfilling when I took this role. So I already knew what was going to come with it. And, you know, we don't indulge in it too much. Like I said, I made a splash here and there to talk about it. But other than that, P Valley, we up. We got the season 2. And you know, I'm looking forward to that.
Because you know that's one of my questions. But, well, before I get into that, I just want to say I do respect you so much for just how you are able to handle that and for you stepping into this role, because not a lot of people would, just because of the community and things that they've grown up hearing, or just how they feel personally thinking, no, I don't want people thinking I'm gay or like it's some kind of illness or something. But people are living that every day.
Yeah.
And I just respect you for taking on this role. And I really think, you know, hopefully this can be eye-opening for other actors and actresses who want to take on roles, but may be scared of what the outside world may think. But seeing you step into it, you know, it could really build bridges that people may not even have thought that were missing before. So big shout out to you. I mean, you are literally killing it on the show. Everybody loves Lil Murda, regardless of those comments that may come in. Everybody loves Lil Murda. So we gotta know, season 2 is coming. Do we have any kind of like dates or time frames or anything?
Hey, we don't got nothing right now. You know, this COVID done shook the whole world up, man. So we just waiting. But I know Katori, she got it up there, and she's just an incredible storyteller and creator. So I know when we do have it, it's going to be something for the culture, man. We're going to be coming at y'all for another powerful season. And I'm hoping, you know, that we were able to get it back to you guys 2021, that fall time, end of the fall, you know, they have something ready for y'all and ready to go. So it just all, but the industry's picking back up. I'm finally back on set. I'm shooting a film right now. It's a lot different though. You know, we got to take COVID tests every 3 days. You got to wear a mask right up until they say action. So, you know, it's going to be a process with P Valley because there's so much nudity and people being faces. So I'm sure we got to figure that out before we can get back on set.
I'm trying to figure out in season 2, where are things going to go for Uncle Cliff and Lil Murda? Because Lil Murda kind of shaded him during his big meeting.
Hey, take it how you want to take it, right? I feel like Lil Murda was just, you know, he was put in between a rock and a hard place there, man. He didn't quite know what to do. I think he was trying to figure it out for himself. Obviously, we saw that, you know, he was very he was impacted by that in a very emotional way, you know, as we saw in that last scene. But I'm not sure where Katori is going to take that story, but I know she's going to continue to let it blossom. And I think it will be important that we continue to see where that story goes and the vulnerability and the transparency that has to come with those moments. And knowing that it's hard, man. It's hard for our brothers and sisters out here because, as you can see, you know, as I've learned, people will literally, they will I saw this one video and it made me think. You know, this one gentleman said, shout out to him. I think his name is Santana Marley or something like that.
Okay.
But shout out to this brother for living in his truth. But one of the things that really stood out to me, he said, listen, man, if I would have came, he's like, why you didn't come out when you was younger and stuff like that? And he said, listen, bro, they would have killed me. The homies and you know, and so to hear him say that, listen, I could have lost my life coming out. I was like, man, that really that made me, and that was prior to shooting P Valley, but it made me really understand that showing that fear and showing that not quite knowing what to do is real, you know.
Yeah.
So like I said, shout out to that brother, man, and living in his truth, because we have men who seemingly, who, you know, on the outside appear to be extremely masculine, and they are masculine in ways, and so they're not able to live in their truth because you automatically think, oh, you got to be hard, you got to be tough, or because you got to do whatever the case may be, you can't be the same gender loving, you can't love the same gender, and that's not true, and it's unfortunate that we give, you know, people a hard time when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, and then people, they just get so caught up in who somebody loves, and I'm like, it's so much more to people than like who they are in bed with and everything like that. And at the end of the day, it's not even our business. I could go on a whole tangent about this, but
but for season 2, I think we're gonna keep seeing that blossom, and obviously we're gonna keep bringing more hits to y'all too. That's one of my favorite parts of the show. You know, just creating these bangers, man. So shout out to the team.
Which I definitely want to talk about the music. Okay. First of all, I'm not even from Mississippi, but when I hear Mississippi Pride, you can't tell me I'm not from Mississippi.
Right.
Like, that is a hit. Talk to me about making the music on the show. Because I mean, you make music before, so how is it being able to act on the show and then also being on the soundtrack for it? How are you coming up with the hits that you are putting out for the show?
Oh man, thank you, much love. So we have an incredible team, man, of some dope writers, some dope producers, engineers, and you know, everyone is in the room and collaborating, and then I come in as a performer and add my 2 cents to it, and there may be some words here and there. So I can't take credit for all the lyrics, but I can take credit for just the delivery and how we came about it. And then, you know, those Lil Murda ad-libs, that's all me. Anything you hear popping, if it's murder, you know, it's really coming through. But shout out to, you know, the writers on that. And I'm just going to give love to one gentleman, specifically my dog Antoine Moore, man, who goes by the name of New Money. Chef, aka Chef Tony, look him up, man. We're here now to have an opportunity to really build. And so, quick story with that, you know, my boy Twine, Chef Tony was a cook on P Valley, right? A chef for the craft services on P Valley. And I'm just mobbing through set one day. He's like, bro, I heard you play a rapper on the show. I was like, hell yeah. He's like, bro, I'm a rapper. Like, let me let you hear your let's play something for you. Play something for me. The shit was fire. All good. I said, bro, I don't know who you are, but I said, I need you to be in the room with Lil Murda and Katori and Patrick. So I recorded him, and I sent that video to Katori and her team and Patrick and his team, and they made it happen for this brother. They got him on as a writer, and there's a few other dope writers too, that I just don't want to say their names incorrectly. But like I said, shout out to the Lil Murda team. And, you know, like I said, I continue to flex and put my little 2 cents in there. Shout out to my boy Ty Lepley, who was in the studio with me when we did Fallen and dropping some little gems and jewels in my ear. So a much collaborative experience for sure. And to bring some bangers to y'all. And we already, you know, trying to cook up something now for season 2.
For real, because I'm telling you, the soundtrack goes.
Yeah.
So I mean, but well, even before, and we talked about some of this earlier, before P Valley, you were in, you know, a couple of different things. You've been doing this for years. I know you were on Blue Bloods, a TV show. You were in the Madam C.J. Walker movie, Just Mercy, and you've also even been on Broadway too, which we talked about, which I think is a huge deal. What was that experience like being on Broadway? And do you prefer like doing live on Broadway, or do you prefer doing scripted stuff?
You know, I started on the stage. You know, my career started in theater, you know, for the longest time, and that's what I've done, you know, continue to do. But to be able to make it to the pinnacle, to make it to Broadway,
that's huge.
It's a milestone that I'm going to cherish for a long time. And I had an opportunity to portray this beautiful character named CJ Memphis. and it changed my life. You know, being able to work alongside David Allen Greer, Blair Underwood, and Blair Underwood and we also did Self-Made. So we worked together for like a span of 6 months. But we shot Self-Made in Toronto, and then we both, you know, went back to New York and started rehearsals for Soldier's Play. So being able to do at this point, you know, well, close to maybe like 60 plays throughout my career, I would say that there's like an entirely different experience that comes with doing things live, and then there's an entirely different experience that comes with being on set and being in front of the camera. So, but and they're both. A lot of people like to think that they're similar or they're the same, but they're two different crafts. You know, there's a different craft that comes with telling stories on film and TV than it does on stage. But I love the challenge that comes with both. But I will say that when you come from them boards, when you come from that theater, it offers a different challenge because you got to tell that entire arc at one time. It ain't no cut. It ain't no stop. You know, if you forget your line, you can't just go back and do it. So what it's done for me is really sharpen my tools and it made me a better artist, I feel like.
Yeah, that is a huge deal to be on Broadway. So that's amazing. And, you know, it's amazing to see you just be so versatile with all these different roles. And I know you mentioned a couple actors there. When you kind of were first getting into it, were there any actors that maybe we would know of that kind of, you know, offered advice that you still carry with you or just kind of took you under their wing?
So one of my, you know, I would say as I've been going up through this industry, I've met a lot of actors. It's something that you all may not know, but I'm like a sponge, man. I feel like you can learn just as much from someone who's been doing it for 70 years as you can from somebody who's been doing it for 7 minutes, right? So you kind of just got to keep your ear in tune. And so I've always been open to a lot of people. Someone who has been a really good mentor and a friend to me, her name is Mary Louise Parker. And she's on a TV show called Weeds, well, it was on a TV called Weeds, and she played the lead role on there. But that's a strange connection, right? This young African-American man and having a connection with this, you know, middle-aged, really dope white woman, but she just happened to drop a few gems in my basket, and that's why, you know, I just like to see people as human beings at times, and you don't really want to judge a book by its cover. But I've also had some just incredible people in my circle that you guys wouldn't know, but a gentleman named Joseph Mihu, another gentleman named Howard Kraft, one of my really good friends who more is a peer, but also I look at her as a mentor at times and just follow her path. Her name's Miriam Hyman, and she plays Dre on The Shop. And
yeah, shout out to The Shy. That's my other show.
Shout out to The Shy. And so Miriam, you know, she and I have kind of just bounced a lot of things off each other. And then being able to have an opportunity to work with Octavia Spencer and just be in her presence and learn so much from her. And then, like I said, David Allen Greer, Blair Underwood. But it's so many people, man, I think that I can line up. But I have some really close friends who I constantly move through this industry with. And then I have a lot of colleagues and associates who I can tap in with and build on as well.
So is there any type of roles that you haven't played yet, like a certain type of character that you want to play that you necessarily haven't yet?
No, not yet, man. The universe has kind of lined me up in a way where I've been able to kind of play a lot of different characters, especially on stage and here. So really, I just want to keep telling good stories, keep telling complex stories, you know, allowing people to really see what it is that I can bring to the screen and to the stage. But just showing that range and representing for people, man, allowing people to see themselves and being as authentic as possible. So, yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but I do want to ask, other than this project that we talked about that you're on set of right now, what's coming up for you? What are some other things that you may be working on that we need to know about you?
Okay. Well, definitely go and follow at Southern Gospel. I posted something on my page about it today. You know, I'm going to continue I've been doing these street drumming covers, right? So I'm a drummer.
Which are so bomb, by the way.
Thank you.
You are super talented. You used to do that in New York, didn't you?
I did.
Yes.
In New York, playing the drums in the subway. So, you know, keep tapping into that. But Southern Gospel, man, hopefully we'll be bringing that to you guys soon. Incredible film based on a true story and just following these incredible people. So got that coming. And then, you know, you can always go back to Netflix and tap into Self-Made for those who haven't seen that. And then tap into Just Mercy if you haven't seen that, which is just an incredible film. So that's just some of the stuff I've done this year. But if you look me up, you'll see I've been doing this for a long time. One of those familiar faces. When you see me, like, I knew he was. So it's one of those things. Thank you so much for having me, and I really
course.
appreciate you inviting me on to chop it up.
Yes, no, thank you so much. We cannot wait. I know everybody's asking about P Valley. If you came in kind of late, season 2, we don't know anything yet. We still waiting. You know, Corona got everything on hold, so we're still waiting. But we, like I said earlier, I just appreciate you being able to tell these stories, tell them so well that got people all up in their feelings. But thank you so much for sharing your gift with all of us. We wish you the best of luck with everything in the future. We'll be watching. And tell Lil Murda stop shading out Uncle Cliff, okay?
I got you. I got you.
Thank you. You enjoy and good luck on set. Be safe.
I will.
All right. Bye-bye.